Hello, greetings to everyone. Today I'll be talking about chemistry and concept of matter. Now, what is the concept of matter? Chemistry is a study of the composition, the structure, and the properties and change of matter. So we're talking about chemistry, we're talking about the composition, the structure, talking about the properties and the change of matter. We're talking about the chemical reactions that are involved in a matter. Now, chemistry is a physical science. It's a physical science. It deals with its calculations. It deals with the properties. It deals with the heat. It deals with reactions. And now these matters can be seen as anything that has mass and occupies space. Now, matter composed of four distinct parts, namely, we call the atoms, the molecules, the elements, and the compounds. Now, I can also split matters in kind of impure substance and pure substance. When we talk about the impure substance, we talk about the mixture. Talk about the mixture. Mixture can be subdivided into two, which you call the heterogeneous mixture and the homogeneous mixture. Now, in terms of pure substances, talk about the elements. Talk about elements and compounds. Now, elements can be split into atoms, and atoms can be split into electrons. Atoms can be split also into nucleus. Now, this nucleus can be split into two, which is called the protons and the neutrons. Now, your compounds is there, and then what is the difference between the compounds and the mixture? Now, mixtures are joined together, they are composed together by physical means. They are composed together by physical means. Two or more substances that come together by physical means or physical properties or physical changes. But compounds are composed together by chemical means. So two or more substances or three that are composed by chemical reaction, chemical changes or chemical means or chemical properties. So that's the basic differences between the two of them. And when you talk about a mixture, you say a mixture is heterogeneous. Heterogeneous means the mixture are not uniform in terms of composition. They are not uniform in terms of size. They are not uniform, so they can be easily distinguishable. But when you say the mixture is homogeneous, it means they are of constant composition, and they are of uniform composition, and they are not easily distinguishable. So that's the difference between the two of them basically. And homogeneous mixtures can be solutions. They are called solutions. They are called a solution. And when you talk about a solution is composed of a solvent and a solute. And you have heard that water is a universal solvent. So if I'm mixing sugar and water, if I'm mixing sugar in water, that is a sugar solution. If I'm mixing salt in water, that is a salt solution. So the water there is the solvent, the sugar there is the solute. The water there also is a solvent, the salt there is the solute. So all together they will form solution. So solution is seen as homogeneous mixture. Now, your wine is a complex liquid solution to your wine. It's also homogeneous because you cannot dictate the composition. It's not easily distinguishable. So your wine is a solution, and that solution is under the homogeneous solution. That's what we're talking about. And by so doing, you find out that your mixture can only be separated into pure substances by physical method. Now, pure substances is one without constant composition. Pure, as I told you earlier on, pure substance is one without constant composition. Water is a good illustration of this idea. So water is a good illustration. Now, good. Now, your compound also is also the classification of matter. And I told you compound can be two substances or three can join together in terms of chemical means or chemical reaction and chemical changes. Okay, that's good. So now you got to know that the mixture, the compound, the atoms, and the molecules, they are made of matter. Now, atoms, they cannot be split into two. Instead, if you join two atoms together, they form molecules. So they are smallest particles that can take part in a chemical reaction. They take part in the chemical reaction. And we have several types of atoms, basically in terms of 20 elements, in terms of elements. Now, fine. So elements, build up of atoms to get elements. So elements are found, atoms are found in elements. So atoms is just the basic build-up of every other chemical substances. So that's just it. Now, physical changes. What do you mean by physical changes? Physical changes means when reactions undergoes, there is no new product that is being produced. So when you bring two reactants together, you end up not producing any new products. You end up not affecting the fundamental nature of those substances. This is called a physical change or physical property or physical reaction. And in terms of that, you find out that the melting of ice, you find out that the formation of rain, further that the forming of melters, all these things are physical change because there is no new product to be expecting. It's still the substance you are dealing with. It might just be in different size, it might just be breakdown, but it's still the same thing you are dealing with. You still expect. So by so doing, you find out that the fundamental nature of such compound are not altered. So they can be modified. So you find out that these are physical changes, physical reaction, and there is no new product. And they by looking at that, no new substance is formed, and then you find out that is of the same substance. So it's called physical changes or physical reaction, physical properties. Then what is a chemical change? Chemical change talks about if you undergo any chemical reaction, you're expecting a new product. It's not the same thing you reacted, not the reacting substances, not the reacting materials. There must be a new product. So in terms of being a new product, talking about chemical changes or chemical reaction, talk about the fermentation of starch, talk about the combustion of engine oil, talk about the decomposition of organic matter, talk about the change of color of leaves when it change from green to yellow. These are chemical changes, these are chemical reactions, these are chemical states. It's change. So when you hear chemical change, it's a new product must form, and the fundamental nature of such substances must be altered. So that's what you call chemical change. Now, what are the differences between chemical changes and physical changes? You got to know that in